Hello and welcome to the Crochetluna Vlogcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from the San Diego area in Southern California, where I am celebrating my 4-year anniversary here on YouTube, and I am so happy to be here. I know there's lots of stuff to catch up on, and I don't want to make this a super long video. I just wanted to make sure I got this video in. Like I said, I'm celebrating 4 years here on YouTube, and I have so many incredible memories these last 4 years, filled with friendship and crochet and other good stuff. And so I'm happy to be recording this video. And I want to say, for those of you watching, thank you so much for stopping by. And I hope all is well. We all know we have gone through some crazy times since 2020. And for a lot of us, we're celebrating like 1 year lockdown anniversary. I don't even know what to call it. And it's been very difficult for so many of us. I know that for me, actually 2020, to give you a recap, was incredibly busy. I took a full-time position working for an independent yarn dyer in Boston who was Lady Dye Yarns. You've heard me talk to her about her before. And yeah, it really became a full-time job, and you know, along with that, full-time stress sometimes. And so crafting actually, was not something that was in the forefront for me last year. And that's evidenced by the fact that, when I went ahead and took tally of the projects that I had crocheted in 2020, it only equaled about 9. And the previous year to that, I had over 20 projects. So there's just some big changes, I think, along with, the schedule of recording videos that went for, at one point was every 2 weeks to, every month, and then just whenever I could. And I know that a lot of that was affected by the new job, but I'm really happy working and bringing in additional income to my family. So that's been a really good thing for us, especially during a pandemic when so many people were hit so hard with economic issues. I was one of the lucky ones that was able to not only maintain but really increase my participation in full-time employment. So yeah, but I didn't do a lot of crocheting last year. I don't think I did any designing. Maybe I think I released a pattern at the beginning of the year when we went to Stitches West, and who would have thought that was going to be the last in-person event we were going to be able to attend. I had attended Vogue Night Live and then Stitches West when everything shut down, when the world shut down. So my previous video, I had really tried to bring a structure to them that I was really looking forward to following through on. But what I have found now is that I'm so limited with time, and though I would like to keep some of those elements, I think what you're going to see if you're looking forward or going forward in the videos that I put out, they're going to be a lot more casual, I think. I have become a really huge fan of Amy Beth of The Fat Squirrel Speaks. And one of the reasons I really enjoy her way of doing videos is that they're just such a great conversation. Like, I look forward to Amy Beth's videos, and it just feels like you're sharing time with a friend. And I would hope that you guys would get that same feeling from my videos. And like I said, moving forward, I definitely want to keep a very low-key, relaxed vibes with these videos. It becomes a little bit of a pressure thing sometimes, because you feel like what you want to do is have like a finished object every time, or like really like a new technique to share or things like that. And frankly, that's challenging for me because of, like I said, the time constraints that I have now. So it might not be that I have a finished object every time, but I definitely will have a little bit of time, I think, to spend maybe on a more consistent basis. Hopefully, I can't promise anything, but I'm hoping to get to the point where I'm putting out videos more consistently. I know that podcasts and videos on YouTube really helped me to get through some really low times last year. Um, and it wasn't necessarily because I was looking for new information on crochet or techniques or things like that, but it was just more like checking in with friends, and that's what it felt like. And so, like I said, I am striving now to think of sitting down in front of a camera and just recording a quick conversation with you guys. Because when I did dip into the Christmas blogging, I really enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed just to be able to turn the camera on with no real set of notes or expectations and just talk to you guys. And the feedback was great. I actually have what I'm calling the long lost Christmas vlog that, was the last blog that I recorded and did not upload. And it became another reason why I wasn't able to really record or upload videos. My computer that I was using to edit just stopped working. The editing software just stopped working. And so I had to research and find new editing software. And there's a learning curve to that. And I really wasn't enjoying it because I didn't feel like it was as intuitive as the one that I had been using, but it's really just a matter of getting used to it. And in some aspects it's better, and so I'm just going to keep forward with that and hopefully be able to get more comfortable and edit videos the way I like to edit them. Health-wise, I always have liked to share a little bit of that with you by giving you a little health update. And my health has not been great. I'll be honest with you, it's been very up and down. Not only because of the arthritis, but right now I'm still dealing with some after effects of having gone through COVID, having had COVID, and that was not a fun time, I'll tell you that. And what was frustrating about it for me was that I had been very careful all along. You know, I practice social distancing. I always wear a mask whenever I step foot out of my house. I always do. And I had very limited places that I have visited over the year. Mainly, you know, the grocery store, the pharmacy, doctor's office, and then when I drop off packages for my job, I actually don't go to a regular post office. I go to like a place where mail gets sorted, and you drop your packages off outside, so you really have little to no contact with the people who work there. And every time I did have contact with them, they were always wearing a mask. So it was very surprising for me to then find out that I had contracted COVID. Actually, my whole family did, and it started with my husband when some restrictions were lifted and he was able to travel for work. The only thing we can piece together is that he must have picked it up on one of his business trips and brought it back home, because when we did contact tracing with him, none of the people that were contacted told him that they either had COVID or had COVID. So when we're looking at the list of people that we contacted, we can't find out where he picked it up from, but he was at several airports. He did go to different states for his job. So it started with him. If we all tested positive, I'll tell you the one good thing about that is that we all quarantined and isolated at the same time, which made things for us here in the house a lot simpler than if, you know, only he had tested positive and the rest of us negative, because then the isolation and quarantining would have been a little bit been more of a logistical issue. So we did get hit with a lot of symptoms, especially me. But I would still consider them not, well, mild to very manageable, and we were very lucky about that. I mean, I still almost immediately lost my sense of smell and taste, which I have not gotten back. I'm going to start doing some therapy that I've been researching online with regards to retraining myself to smell. And I still have lingering headaches. I'm still dealing with fatigue, but the brain fog has for the most part cleared up. You guys, you have no idea. I didn't know what brain fog was until I actually experienced it, and it is not pleasant. I ended up with a lingering cough, which thank God now is more or less under control. So as my husband started to get better, and my kids, I think, literally experienced 2 days of gastrointestinal issues. Really, my daughter had headache like one day, and then that was it. I'm the one that has the residual symptoms, but I'm not surprised because of the autoimmune. I will say that because my husband is a diabetic and I have autoimmune disease, we were called in to get monoclonal therapy, monoclonal antibody therapy, which has to be administered within 10 days of a positive, or within 10 days of symptoms, in order for it to be effective. And I had it done, my husband as well, and I really feel like that really helped us a lot. As I say, I feel we were really, really lucky, and we came through it, I think, as best you possibly can. I can't tell you how frustrating it is to think that you're doing everything right, and then you still have to deal with that. And the scary part for me was I just didn't know how I was going to react to COVID. I had no idea what was going to happen with my immune system, with my body. And I did spend a couple days just literally sleeping on the couch. I couldn't get comfortable on the bed, and I slept on the couch and probably did not wake up for like 48 hours. I was just in and out of sleep. And so I just still strongly support, even though you have vaccinations and, you know, you've had COVID, like people say, oh, you've had COVID, you're fine, you can go and do anything. And I say no, because we just don't know enough about this disease. There's people who have had COVID and get it again. I don't want to get it again. I don't want to have COVID and, you know, spread it to someone because I say hey, I have had COVID, I'm okay, you know. I still think there's a lot of responsibility that we have to shoulder until we're told, you know, we no longer have to wear masks. We don't no longer have to keep social distancing or isolate. I think we just have to do our part, and then we'll get over it a lot quicker. So, but that's my opinion. That's what as someone who has had COVID and was lucky enough to have manageable symptoms and really just was down. I was out for 3 weeks out of work. I still am a strong supporter of, let's just keep our eye on the ball and let's keep doing what we need to do to get over this. And so hopefully by next year, next summer, things will be back to normal, although I think there's some things that will never go back to being the same. And I mean, we could even say, you know, by the fall, I think people will have a more normal holiday season than the past year. But anyway, that's where I'm at. Today I'm feeling great. I have no complaints, and so I just want to move on to sharing some of my finished objects, some of my work in progress, and some other things that I have going on. I did want to start off talking about a little admin, and I still have a lot of loose ends from last year, and the Wizarding Mal that I co-hosted with Hannah. I realize I've dropped the ball on that, and I will be working towards rectifying that, but I do have some loose ends. Along with that is the issue with Ravelry that we all know about, and my Ravelry group, which I have not actually attended to in many, many months. I strongly feel that, you know, if things are not accessible to everyone, that we have to make, I feel like I have to make adjustments so that things are accessible to everybody who wants to access things that have to do with the Crochetluna podcast. I will not be opening up any threads on Ravelry, and I will not be, I don't know if it's the word is monitoring, but the only thread that I'm going to archive basically everything that's in my Ravelry group. The only thing I will not archive is probably the Socket to Me thread, because I feel there's a lot of information there, and I think that that's a thread that's been on my group for the last 4 years. It has some really good information, and I like to keep it there, even if it's only because I go access it for information. And for those of you who are still using Ravelry, I would say it's going to be there, but I'm not going to be opening any new threads. There are bundles of patterns that I used to put on there. Whenever I would put out an episode, I would put a bundle of patterns. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I will just put the pattern links down below in the description box for you. So moving forward, I will make some changes to that group, but I'm not really going to engage with that group in terms of new threads and things like that. Next, I wanted to share with you some of my thought about the cowls that are going to be hosted by the Crochetluna Vlogcast this year. I'm actually not doing any year-long cowls this year. I'm only going to participate in 2 cowls for the Crochetluna Vlogcast. One is the Dodgy Bag Mal with Allie of Little Drops of Wonderful. Everybody loves that mal. I love that mal. And so I have so much to look forward with that, and I will be talking more about it next month. But yes, definitely we're going to do the Dodgy Bag Mal. Allie's on board, and so I've already created the graphic for it. I'll be getting some pins made. So hopefully you guys are going to join us for that. And the next cowl will be the Summer of Romance cowl. That's the cowl that I host with Clarissa of the Crochet Cakes podcast. And this is a cowl that she and I have been doing for many years now. We'll talk more. I know we'll talk more about the details of this year's theme, which I'm really excited about. And I think limiting it to 2 cowls for me this year is the way to go. Because what I saw last year for myself in both Dodgy Bag and Summer of Romance is that I didn't really participate in the cowls. And I want to participate in the cowls that I co-host. I think it's just, they're fun, and it's important for me to be a part of it. So that's the reason I'm scaling back. I don't have any other cowls on the books for Crochetluna. So the only other thing is I would like to be participating in other people's cowls. And so for this year so far, I have participated in the archive cowl, which was hosted by Vivian and Allison of the Keep Calm and Carry Yarn podcast. So I have an FO for that. And then I'm starting a new cowl that I'm going to participate in, which is called the Uplift Make-Along. And that is a cowl that's going to be hosted by Ruth. And I'll put her Instagram information here. You can go to her Instagram to get all the information. It starts April 1st, so it's just right around the corner. Let's start with some finished objects. I have 4 finished objects, which is pretty amazing for one episode. But that's because this is really the only stuff that I've been working on since last year. So let me start off with some hats. Now, I'm going to start with some hats because I got into a little bit of a hat kick. It felt like it was the only project I could really finish in a couple of days. And so I was really motivated by that, and also by the fact that it'd been a while since I'd crocheted hats. It's been a while since I had sat down and done anything with a hat, and then all of the hats that I have crocheted no longer fit me. They were too big because they had been stretched out. So the first pattern that I definitely knew I wanted to crochet up was a pattern by my friend Laurell. Hi Rhon of the Dabbling hook, and she has some really, really nice hat patterns. I started with the Anastasia Hat. This is a paid pattern. It looks like this. And what's really nice about this pattern is that you can do it without a brim or with a brim. And I actually did it both ways. I don't have the version I did without the brim because I actually gave that to my mom. But I made this version for my son. So I alternated 2 skeins of yarn. And as you can see, there's no seam. That's such a cool construction. I just love the way this came out. I love the ribbing. He really likes it. And the yarn that I used for this pattern, I went to my local yarn shop and they were having a sale. And so I picked up 2 balls of, actually I picked up 4 balls of a yarn called Lang Yak. And I did not pay the price that you're going to see here for this yarn. It was actually on a really good discount. So this is the name of the yarn. And it's got yak in it, and I have not crocheted with yak before, and let me tell you, it is nice. This hat is super sturdy, but soft. I really liked it. It's not floppy like, you know, sometimes when you work with alpaca, it gets to be a little bit floppy and loses its shape. I've already washed this hat a couple times, and it's held its shape, and it looks really nice. So I really like that. This is the Anastasia Hat by the Dabbling hook. And she usually has it in 1 color, but I really wanted to try using a 2-color combo to see how it came out, and it came out really well. So next I crocheted a hat from a lovely designer that I have talked about before, Jeananne of Cerulean Orchid, and they've done something really cool at Cerulean Orchid this year. You can buy a kind of like a membership to a hat club where you get access to 1 hat pattern a month. But the way they release them is they release them by the quarter. So if you sign up, you would get the first, the first quarter patterns are already on the website that you can download, and then you can work. And then obviously second quarter will have 3 more patterns. So you get 12 patterns for, I think it's $5 a pattern, which is great. I think it's a great deal. And so she's collaborated with a yarn dyer. Her name is Boss Kitty Knits. And I actually heard about Boss Kitty when I was on Twitch, because she also has a Twitch stream that she hosts. So I purchased the membership, and one of the hats that really caught my interest was the Dash Beanie. This is the Dash Beanie. And it has a lot of texture, and it's really, really nice. This pattern is, this is a pattern I would not recommend a beginner. I don't think this is a beginner pattern. It is a pattern that you gotta pay attention, but it is a great pattern if you're feeling like you need to focus on something, because I was having issues focusing, right? And I would just lose track. I couldn't even count stitches at one point. That's how crazy my brain was, or how out of sorts I was, right? But for some reason, when I picked up this pattern and I was having to concentrate on the different stitches that you need to do on each row, it really helped me, and I found it super enjoyable. So this is my hat. Now it looks small, but I've actually washed it and it kind of shrank a little bit, which I like, because I tend to like a really form-fitting hat. And this hat, look at the what's the word? texture. Look at the texture. I love it so much. Now in the camera, it's looking a little bit lighter than it is in real person. I actually purchased the same yarn as the pattern, and I was really, really happy with it. So this is the Dash Beanie. There's 2 other patterns, like I said, and I think the influence is the crown. Yeah, this, I think all the patterns are influenced by the crown. Let me show you Boss Kitty's tag, because I think it's super cute. This is her yarn tag. Look at, there's even like a little cutout here, a little kitty paw. It's so cute. So this is a yarn dyer. Boss Kitty Knits is the website, I believe. And I will, again, like I said, I'll just put everything down below in the description box in case you were interested in accessing the Cerulean Orchid website and also the Boss Kitty website. Guys, remember this mug? I've had this mug since I started podcasting. Since I started recording videos, I've had this mug. And this is my favorite mug of all time. My favorite mug of all time. Were this mug to break, I would not be a happy camper. So I usually tell my kids, see this mug, don't touch it. Okay, next. Now this next thing I want to show you, I actually talk about in my Lost Christmas blog. And I don't know what possessed me to do it, because you guys know I am not a huge fan of crocheting amigurumi because it's too fiddly. There are too many parts. There's just too much going on with that stuff, and it's just not something that I like to do. But I bought a bunch of books that I was reading last year that had to do with either, Salvadorian history, or I pulled up a list of Salvadorian authors and I started just ordering books. One of the books that I ordered, because I actually have this book in Spanish and I started reading it and I never finished it, but I found that they had it in English. And it is by a very well-known author, and her name is Claudia Lars. And the book is called Land of Childhood. What's it called in Spanish? Tierra de mi Infancia, it's what it's called in Spanish. So I bought the book and I started reading it. And I don't like to dog-ear pages on books, and I could not for the life of me find a bookmarker. Of course, I could have put just like a sticky note. I could have done so many other things. I decided I was going to crochet a bookmark. So I went on Ravelry and I was looking at bookmarks, and I found Daniel the Dragon. This is what Daniel the Dragon looks like. And I thought, he's just flat, Claudia. It's just flat. You're just going to have this part that's kind of fiddly. You can do it. And I think the first year that I ever recorded videos, I did a collaboration with a lady who used to do mini skein clubs. And so I contacted her. I said, I would love to be able to offer this to my viewers. Let's do a mini skein club. And she said, yeah, we'll use the dyer at the time was What the Flock. And What the Flock has really vibrant colors, really beautiful yarn. And I had these mini skeins, and so I'd never done anything with them. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use them for this project, Daniel the Dragon. So I did my own, Daniel the Dragon. Look at him. He is adorable and completely flat. So here's his tail. That's his little face. These are his little rainbow wings. And he's kind of floppy. This thing here was very difficult. And then the other thing about it is if you look at his eyes, like I had to attach, first of all, I like the pattern, but you got to know what you're doing. You absolutely have to know what you're doing if you want to attempt to crochet this pattern. Because these eyes, if you look at it, somehow you attach the eyes you attach the eyes to the face, and then you're supposed to do the little eyeball thingies here. That was so freaking hard. I had a hard time with that. I also had a hard time attaching his little thing here. But I ended up, what I would do, like I would go to my Girl Scout meetings. What I would do is like I would just perch him on he just like became a pet. Like I'd walk around with him like this, right? And so finally I'm like, you know what? He's going to get messed up. Put him in the book. So I put him in the book. And so now he holds, and I think there's a picture on Instagram with me holding it. Because I talk about him in my lost blog that I don't think I ever uploaded. But he just kind of hangs out on the book like that. And he's cute. He's really cute. Would I ever crochet another bookmark? No. And actually they're really he has other patterns. He's got like a dog, and I don't know. I'll put the link below so you can check out the patterns. They're really cute. But it just reinforces that I really don't enjoy doing amigurumi. And I do have an amigurumi that I probably will do because it's too cute. And it was a pattern that was gifted to me, and it's a Frida Kahlo bunny, and I really want to do that one. But I kind of have to be mentally in the space for it. And believe it or not, even though this is a small pattern, it still took me a while because there were little fiddly parts. Oh, by the way, his little smile, I just took a Sharpie and put it on. I just took a Sharpie, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I did nothing fancy. He needed a smile because the original one doesn't have one. See that? He's got no smile. And I just decided that my little guy needed a mouth. So yeah, this is my little Daniel the Dragon bookmark. I mean, it was fun. But I think it was fun to play with him after it was done. But when I was putting those eyes, let me tell you, that dragon heard some language that was not appropriate to dragons. I could just leave it at that. My last finished object is my first ever knitted shawl, and I am really excited to share this with you. This is a pattern that I actually purchased years ago, attempted to do years ago, and then I put it away once I realized that the pattern called for DK yarn and I was using fingering, and I got really discouraged and I just put it away. But then when I heard about the archive mail that was hosted by Allison and Vivian of Keep Calm and Carry Yarn, I decided that I wanted to do it. And I was also inspired by the yarn that I bought. I saw this yarn on Instagram from Serendipitous Wool and immediately fell in love with the yarn. I'll show you the ball band so you can see the company name. This is the company name right here. Let me give you some of the yarn details. So it is a DK weight yarn, and it is 100% Polworth, and it is called Sunset Raindrops. You can see right there. It is an absolutely beautiful colorway. Like I say, I fell in love with this colorway when I first saw it, and I thought it was perfect for the shawl. It's actually quite long, quite wide. See if I can get a good read of it. It's got purples and oranges, and little specks of red, little specks of green. It's a lovely, lovely color. And I felt like for a beginner like me, a beginning knitter like me, it had enough of things that were going on. I wasn't just doing garter for the whole shawl, even though it is garter for the most part. But you have the central spine right here where you learn how to do make one right, make one left, which I'd never done. And I found it really, really challenging for someone like me who had never done anything like that, along with this beautiful edging on the side that you see here. And of course, the ribbing that you have to do for the shawl. That also was something that was a little bit of a challenge sometimes to me. And the biggest challenge, you guys, okay, so there are mistakes in a shawl. I'm not going to point them out because it doesn't matter. Like, I'm no longer going to be pointing out mistakes because who cares, right? That's not what this shawl was about. This shawl for me was about the journey of knitting a shawl and learning something new that I'd never done in knitting, which I did. So I felt very comfortable with fixing some of the drop stitches that I had. At some point in the shawl, I probably dropped stitches 10 times. And there's a couple things that I was like, I'm not going to fix them. But when I went to bind off, no problem with the bind off. And then I went to block it. I realized that somewhere in this area, I don't know how I did it, but I dropped the stitch. And so I completely bound off the shawl, and I was going to rinse. I had the water ready. I was going to get its bath. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I dropped the stitch. And so I called Diane, because she's a knitter, and I said, hey, is there a way to fix a drop stitch after you've bound off? And she goes, yeah. She goes, you got to unbind. You got to undo the binding. What do you call it? When you undo the bind off, she said, fix a stitch and rebind off. And I said, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. And I went off on a rant as to, I said, this is why crocheting is so much easier. I said, you don't have to deal with that. Like, I had to go look at a video on YouTube on how to undo binding and find the best technique that would work for me. And I did. And actually, after a while, it was no big deal. So then I undid the binding, fixed the stitch, and redid the binding. And it was very satisfying to get it done right. But let me tell you, this shawl also heard some language that no decent shawl should have heard. But here is my Garters Away. This is a pattern by Sandra Paul, who is Cherry Heart. And Sandra has a beautiful pattern library. She's got knitted and crochet shawls and all kinds of beautiful patterns in her library, so you can access them. This is a great shawl if you're a beginning knitter. I would recommend it. The body of the shawl, as you can see, is all garter. And like I say, you've got this little center spine that will teach you how to do something different. And then you've got the beautiful ribbing. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I really, 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 really enjoyed this project. I can't even tell you. I couldn't put it down. So I was happy to. And because of that too, I was like, you know what, Claudia, you've put in so much time. Why not do it the right way? You've enjoyed the project. Don't try and hide the drop stitch, because God knows, that could come undone. And I don't know how to, I was just happy to get it done right. So yeah, that's my last FO I have to share with you. Next, I want to share with you my work in progress. And I have two. The first one is the Eclectic Sweater by Cassie Ward. You can find it in issue 119 of Inside Crochet, I believe. And One of the reasons I picked this particular pattern was because it's so colorful, and I am ready for some color. The sweater looks like this. Instead, this is a paid pattern, but you can buy it. It looks like you can buy it individually now. You don't have to purchase the magazine. I will tell you, this pattern is only graded up to 47 inches, bust size 47 inches, and so I think I crochet loose enough to get it to what I need, because I've been checking it against my measurements, and I'm doing okay. But I just wanted to put that out there, that the pattern is graded from small to XL, and in the pattern, the small goes to 88 centimeters, the medium goes to 98 centimeters, the large goes to 109, and the XL is 120, and 120 is about 47 inches for that XL size. Love the pattern. I am thoroughly enjoying crocheting this. There's something about changing the color, changing the stitch, that has me super happy. This is what I have so far. And like I said, I am having a little bit of an issue with this row that I'm working on, because as you can see, it's one color, and then you switch over to a different color to do the puff stitch. And I just didn't see enough of, there isn't enough information how to best tackle that, so I just did it my way, which I don't know if it's the right way of doing it. If you guys have done this sweater before, you could tell me, because I still have to do 3 more sections of this puff stitch. But I'm literally cutting the yarn and then reattaching the yarn as I move from section to section. I don't mind. It's okay. It's fine. It's completely fine. Loving the colors that I have on here. They are from Valley Yarns. I ordered a bunch of little balls from Valley Yarns. And the maker of the yarn is Valley Yarns, but I purchased it from Webb's. And this was a great deal per ball. I think it's $2.49. And it's a nice blend. It's actually really, really soft. It's a nice blend of 60% superwash merino, 40% acrylic. And yeah, I mean, the drape is nice. It feels really soft when I'm crocheting it. I'm really liking. They have a great palette. They have a great palette in this yarn. I really, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait for this to be done. Yeah, that's that one. Work in progress that I hope to have finished by the next time I record a video. Wanted to show you the bag that I'm keeping it in because I love it. This is actually a gift from my boss, Diane from Lady Di Yarns. Sent me this cool Kamala Harris bag. And when I got this, I'm like, I don't remember ordering this bag. I was like, it's got my name on the envelope, but I don't remember ordering. And I said to Diane, I got this package in the mail, and it's got this really cool bag. I said, but I don't remember ordering. She goes, oh yeah, I sent that to you. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. So that's sitting in here, and I need it. I need the full space because I got lots and lots of yarn in this bag. Now, my next work in progress is a celebration, commemoration of my crochet journey and my crochet journey blogging on YouTube. If you are a longtime viewer of this Vlogcast, if you have been with me since at least 2018, these actually could go back even further than that, but I'm just going to take the information that was on my project bag to say that this project actually went to the UK in 2018. Oh, I'm trying to make a move. 2018 when I went to Yarndale. See that? That was the one thing I was like, oh my God, these are that old. And they're living in my Doctor Who bag. I have frogged one of these at least 7 times. At least 7 times. So if you know, you know. You know my history with these. I dubbed them my nemesis socks. I crocheted this beautiful sock so many years ago. This sock fits me perfect. Perfect. I know you're admiring my beautiful sock blockers. I know they're so beautiful. I'll talk about them in a little bit. But the second sock is cursed. It's absolutely cursed. I thought it was cursed. I'm like, I can't get it. 7 times, at least, from the notes that I have found, I frogged this sock back. 2, nothing. Like I remember at one point I had even the ribbing around this. It was a completed sock, but it was huge. It just didn't fit. The heel was wrong. Like, I can't even tell you the journey. But I decided to celebrate my 4th blogcasting blogiversary, can't even say the word. I was going to attempt to complete my Gorman Street Socks by Rhon Strong. And so far, so good. The toe is fine. The foot part is fine. See that? I'm getting some sun coming in. And I don't know what the difference is now, all these years later, that I can finally feel like I can finish these. And if you look at my cool stitch marker, it is a flamingo. I purchased this from Rose Likes Crochet. She does a lot of really cute stitch markers, and I thought they was perfect. But let me take a minute to talk about my amazing sock blockers. These sock blockers are from Maria of A Needle Runs Through It on Etsy. And on Instagram, I will definitely link her shop and her Instagram in the notes, because you have got to see. If you don't know Maria, you need to know Maria. She does a lot of the wooden stitch markers, and she also does a lot of beautiful sock blockers. Now, I have a thing for gnomes, and when I saw these sock blockers, plus the fact that they had stars and a moon, I said to myself, it is time. It is time to purchase some wooden sock blockers. Last, I want to share with you what I'm going to work on for the Uplift Make-Along. And one of the things that is really important about this Make-Along is that it's supposed to help uplift designers that you think should be more in the spotlight, who should get more attention, that are not getting attention. For me, that designer is Mary Renji. I have crocheted several of her patterns. One was a hat that I actually donated to a charity. And then I also crocheted a beautiful pattern called the Hexit Show. And if you haven't seen my Hexit Shawl, it is this giant shawl that used, I believe it was 4 skeins of yarn, fingering weight yarn, and has this really beautiful point at the end. It's a great shawl. I love crocheting this, and I love wearing it. It's long. It's a beautiful dramatic piece. Like I said, it's something that when I finished blocking it, I just loved. It was just like so satisfying. It's got beautiful edges. There is like I said, the hex in the middle, and then it just kind of goes out to each side and it comes to a point. Love, love, love her patterns. I love her design aesthetic, and I just feel she doesn't get enough recognition. I think a lot more people should be following her and crocheting her patterns, and so I chose Mary Renji as my designer to spotlight. And the shawl that I'm actually going to spotlight and crochet is called Spring Leaves Cowl. It's not a shawl, sorry, it's a cowl. This is a paid pattern. It's a long shawl. It's a long piece that you then join, you seam up, and then you get a cowl. This is a better picture of it. It has some detail on the sides right here, on each side. I think it's some filet crochet on the side. I really love it. And really, I like things that wrap around because they seem to stay around my neck easier. I contacted Mary earlier today because I have never really been 100% sure how to pronounce her last name. And so I said, is it Mary Renji or Renji? And she said Renji. So thank you so much, Mary, for getting back to me. And I'm really happy to be crocheting this pattern. She's got some stunning shawls, and I urge you to go and look at her pattern library. This is the name of the pattern, and again, I will put the link to it. The yarn that I'm going to be using is a beautiful Olan yarn, which sadly I got to purchase at my local yarn shop because they are shutting down. So I live in the San Diego area. There is a yarn shop called Yarning for You. That is my local yarn shop in San Marcos, California. And it is owned by a mother-daughter team, but they are going out of business. I believe the mom is retiring, but that means that is the 4th yarn shop in San Diego that is no longer operating. So it's really sad because they had the most fantastic selection of yarn. They really did. It had a great selection of yarn. And so they're having their big closeout sales, and I was able to purchase 2 skeins of this absolutely gorgeous Olan. Here's a tag for it. Of Olan yarn. So I got 2, and this is what I will be using for my, this is a stitch marker that I'll be using in the projects that I put it there, that I'll be using for my spring leaves. It's got a very faint, you can't really see it because the camera is washing it out. It's got a faint light green, like a minty background, and then it's got all these like speckles and all kinds of like just beautiful colors in the yarn. I'm looking forward to putting that on my hook. Living in one of the very first project bags I ever purchased at a yarn show. I don't know who the maker is, but it's this gorgeous sugar skull bag that I've had forever. I'm feeling a little nostalgic. I really am. And so I decided to go look for some of my things that I bought originally. When I first started blogging, I remember thinking, I had no idea that project bags were a thing. And I happened to go to this like fiber festival in Long Beach, and there was a maker there, and she had these bags, and I thought, I need to have that. So this is one of the very, very first project bags that I ever bought. So that's it for me, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully, with some acquisitions and some Project Q. I have a lot of projects that I want to work on, and the way I want to approach it is I definitely want to sprinkle some knitting projects in there. Excited about one in particular, and I can't show you everything that I've bought since I last recorded because I have acquired some yarn. I'm not going to lie. But I've been very intentional in what I've purchased, and I'm really happy to support the people that I've supported. So with that, I say thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you guys are all doing well. If you could like and subscribe this video, I would really appreciate it. I have definitely fallen off the whatever you want to call it, because I have not been recording. But you guys are always in my thoughts, and I see the love on Instagram for those of you who follow me, because you've always been so kind and generous with your attention and your affection, and I thank you for that. As well as here on YouTube, I really thank you for that, and I also thank you for your patience, and I will see you next time. Bye!